All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rouimi. Of course, if you're on social media or on Facebook, you do know me. I have been reading a book for some time now that really inspired me to share this with others. I found that a lot of the reasons why a lot of people may find themselves sometimes falling into a depression or just feeling down, not being able to get up and just start their day the way they should be. I used to think that it was because of many different environmental issues and how can we help this person. But what it boils down to is the relationship with God. Of course, the big problem is that a lot of people believe that in order to believe in God, they if they have belief in God, then that's it. They have that relationship and they're able to start their life and prosper and do well and succeed. But what's really lacking is trust. And in order to have trust, they need to first have that faith. So the problem is that some people live their entire lives having faith in God and not having trust, which just doesn't let them get to the point where they can just have anything happen to them at any point in time and just surpass it and continue and succeed. So what my neighbor, his name is Seth Heller. He brought me this book, and it's called, I don't know if you see it, there you go, it's called The Gate of Trust, Habitachon. And it really simplifies and breaks down exactly what I've been trained my whole life to do by my wonderful parents. And, it gives real life examples to help us deal with day-to-day situations. But you're going to realize that once you get to this level of trust with God, you really could surpass any challenge, anything that happens to you whatsoever. You just become so empowered and you have the ability to live yourself a life that is extremely, extremely different and very free. You're very free. So I'm going to be going, I spent so many hours going over the forward of this book, just because I did, the forward itself just explains and summarizes it. But I hope that we can ride this journey together in order to really get to that point where we can achieve to trust God at its highest level and not allow anything come in the way. And once you do this, you're going to actually achieve these superhuman qualities where you're going to basically have, characteristics such as restraint, tranquility, selflessness, and you're going to have the ability to reach levels and connections with God that you would have never had before. And basically what you're doing is you're transforming yourself into another reality completely. And, some people, and I'm going to talk a lot about real life examples because I went through a lot in my life. I'm on my second marriage. I never thought this would ever happen to me. I don't come from a family of divorcees. And so basically for me, I had to basically just ask, instead of asking myself and questioning why me? Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? I did everything that I can because I had this bond with God, but I had trust. I was able to move on with my life, but also achieve and go places that are even higher and achieve things that are just unbelievable and, not go through depressions and just continue my life, but be in an even better relationship. Thank God I'm remarried with a wonderful wife. But by having that trust in God, I got everything that I wanted, but even more. And I was able to focus on work, focus on my personal life, focus on my kids. And it really allowed me to move on. So I'm going to show you how to do this because I believe that a lot of us, like I said, have somewhat faith in God. Some of us don't believe in God, but that's another discussion. Some of us have faith in God, but we can never get to that point of having trust. So we still allow external factors to come in our way and bother us, right? And bring us down and break us, right? Don't allow us to continue with whatever it is that we want to achieve. Once you achieve this trust, you start having a level of security and confidence that you'll never be able to get anywhere else. And I don't, you could listen to, you can watch motivational videos. You could, have a therapist. You could have good friends or a support system. All that is great. The problem is that if you don't have this connection and this trust with God, all those tools that you're trying to use in order to achieve and have that tranquility and security will not be enough. So the idea is that you become self-reliant, because if you need a support system, what happens if that support system is gone? The moment that you're alone, the moment that you find yourself in a different spot, now something happens, you lost your job. Okay, well, you don't have your boss to speak to about it anymore. Your friends, let's say, were there, but now they're out of town, or COVID hits and you find yourself restrained and you're at home. What do you do? Yes, you can have a psychologist, therapist. The ultimate way to get past those situations is to build that security and confidence and be self-reliant. And we can only do that if we trust in God. So along this journey, we're going to learn how you can be calm and relaxed and achieve a level of focus that you would have never experienced before. And of course, when you're having this trust with God, you're not going to need for others to always accept who you are. There are people today, unfortunately, they get caught up in all of social media, and they need validation. They need others to accept who they are for them to be able to grow. But if you have trust in God and you have that direct connection, you don't need that outside validation. This book was written by Rabbi Bachya ibn Pekuda in the 11th century. And it started with a book called Chovot HaLevavot. It was published in an Arabic format. And basically it started this way. And then it was translated into Hebrew. And this book then came out as there were multiple sections and multiple gates. Okay. One of them was the gate towards the heart, but the duties of the heart, if you want to call it. And this book is a little bit more, I would say, more practical, more direct, as to how to achieve that relationship with God and go to a place that is invigorating, relaxing, and develop this strong relationship. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, which had an instrumental part in my life, and especially when I met my wife, I wrote to the Rebbe. This is the Rebbe Schneerson from New York. A lot of miracles happened. I'll discuss them one day, but basically, the Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged that this book be read a few times. And a lot of times people would write to the Rebbe and ask, what do I do in this situation? I'm feeling depressed. I'm not happy. I'm not getting, this is not happening. And he would write back to them, you need to study several times in your life. You need to study this book. You need to understand and study the gate of trust. Because once you do that, you can achieve ultimately anything. And I'm a real believer of that. And I'm a live example of that. I went through that myself. And then the darkest of times, you basically don't find yourself in a dark room because you have trust. You have this relationship with God that you could rely on. And the book further discusses about how once you reach this level of bitachon, again, for those, bitachon is trust, right, in Hebrew, you receive these transformative and indispensable treasures that for anyone seeking to fully fathom and practice bitachon, they can achieve. And they can get, it's kind of like a gift. Some people are born with it, some people are not born with it, but they get it when they were as they grew, as they were raised in their families. I believe that I got it, with the training of my parents constantly throughout my whole life, telling me, do your best. And this also put me through when I went through school. I had to go through a biology degree, and I went to dental school, and I did a master's, and all that was very difficult. I had times where I just wanted to give up. I said, no, I can't do this. But I didn't get to the point of wanting to give up, meaning the idea was, going through my mind, but I wasn't at that point because I purely was, when you get to if you get to the point of, I want to give up, that means ultimately that you have, you may have had emunah, which is faith, but you don't have trust. If you have trust, you won't get to the point of saying, I want to give up. And so thoughts might go through your mind, but they quickly get eradicated because you know that ultimately you did your best and you'll be okay. So when I was, in periods of very stressful situations, let's say with school, okay, I reminded myself, if I didn't do very well in an exam or whatever it was, I am doing my best. I'm doing my part. You have to do your part. Okay, you can't just pray to God and say, okay, I want to have the best grades. You have to do your part. You have to study hard. But after that, it's up to God. And, a simple example, COVID hit. It was March 2020. And my business, I've had a vacation rental business for the last 15 years, became illegal. If you were to rent your property by the night during that time, you would get possibly a misdemeanor and go to jail. So I had to pretty much halt my business. And, I said, my business was losing over $100,000 a month. So I said to myself, do I just, what do I do? But I kept repeating, I have trust. I have trust in God. God, I trust you. And by doing this, it allowed me to be a lot more calm, wake up in the morning, start my day and say, I'm going to figure something out. I got this. And happened to be that 2020 was my best year in my career. I started a new business. I had other opportunities. And where most people might have wasted their time during COVID and depressed, I had that trust with God. I had that relationship with God. And now again, of course, there's something called mazel, which is someone's luck, if you want to say. Every person has a destiny, and so some people could work very hard their whole lives and or many years and not succeed and do their best. But when they're placed in this world, they have a mission, and so they have to figure out what their mission is. So ultimately, yes, there is I believe that if you work hard and you do your best, as long as you have that trust with God, you could achieve things. And so for me, I had to go through this challenge, and God was testing me and saying, I'm going to make your business illegal. Everything you worked on for the last 15 years is going to come to a stop. Are you still going to have trust in me? Are you still going to wake up in the morning, go to synagogue, go to temple, pray to me, continue, be kind with your wife, be kind with your kids, continue your life, and continue to trust? And that's exactly what I did. I had a lot of challenges, a lot of miracles throughout the year happen. And it was just an unbelievable experience. And I wish that everyone could achieve that level of having trust so that ultimately, anytime they go through any challenge whatsoever, whether it's in work or their personal life, they could just keep going and not slow down. So that's actually one of my inspirations for doing this lecture, is that I was doing this on my own. I would tell people from time to time, but I really didn't realize what it was that was driving me to continue moving on and not let anything come in my way. And then when I read this book, it made total sense, because it was exactly what I apply in my everyday life and why I feel the way that I feel, because I'm not letting anything stop me. I am just going and going and going, and I just keep going. And that's how you can succeed, by not having anything come in your way. And if something comes in your way, literally just deal with it, boom, move it to the side and continue. Of course, you have to deal with any issues. You can't just pretend and ignore them, because they're going to pile up. But ultimately, when you have trust in God, God opens doors and does things that are beyond nature that you would have never expected. And then you can keep moving on. Now, sometimes when people are stuck on something and they're just not able to move forward, there may be doors that opened, but they don't see those doors because they're locked up in the room, they're locked up in their space, and they're just not able to see clearly. It's like if you put on your glasses and it's all foggy and you can't see anything, then how are you going to be able to figure things out? You need to see things through a clear lens. So having that trust with God allows you to see things so clearly that you're going to see those doors open. And so when doors are opening, you're going to be able to jump right forward to it and transform yourself to be able to live that life stress-free. Most of the times we get overwhelmed. So many things are happening at the same time. And we just say to ourselves, we're just so busy. I'm too busy. I don't have any time. I just, I can't do this. When you have faith in God and trust, you're able to essentially organize your day. And then if you don't get to do everything in your day and you only get to do half the things, you're okay with that. That doesn't drive you crazy. You're able to move forward and say, okay, I only achieved half of the things, and so tomorrow I'm going to do the rest. And so what that does is it causes you to be very, very relaxed and calm. In order to have this trust with God, there are about 5 basic tools that we need to have. Okay? If you don't have these tools, these basic tools, it's going to be very hard in order for you to achieve that level that I'm trying for all of us to reach together. The first is pretty obvious. You need to believe that there's a God. If you don't believe that there's a God, there's no starting point. Okay? Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes so many challenges happen in our life. We're like, whatever, there's no God. God doesn't like me. I have some friends, they tell me, I've already failed God. I'm a lost case. Well, what kind of nonsense is that? No, there's no lost case. Every single Jew counts, and everything that you're going to do does count. And basically, if you believe that there's God, you will see doors open. Test God and you will see. The second is a belief in divine providence, so that there's obviously this higher power. A belief that God actually cares for us, because if you think that, like I said earlier, that God doesn't care about you but might care about your neighbor, you're wrong. Just because your neighbor is, achieving ABC, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve it. And like I said, maybe your purpose is different in this world. I always laugh about this, but there was somebody that I was working with for many years, and the guy was worth in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Happened to be he lost all his money, made it back, and it was one of those roller cycles. And I just I didn't understand, because the guy could barely read and write. And for some, when my level of trust with God was a little bit less and not as strong, I would ask myself, but why? How does he achieve this level of success? And I can't achieve that level of success. And I type 100 words per minute. I have an MBA. I have education. I have work experience. I'm fast on the computer. I can do all sorts of things. Um, you know, what he can achieve on a computer, and especially today, a lot of businesses run on online, right? What he can do in what takes him a whole day, I can do it in 3 minutes. So I was just like, I don't get it. Why is he able to achieve so much more and succeed financially a lot faster when the guy can't even read and write? So I learned that basically that was his destiny. I trusted that God, that maybe this is just not my time. And there's other things that I need to go through and achieve first. Happens to be that person had has unfortunately, lost a leg and has very big health problems. But I started to understand that God picks and chooses when things are supposed to happen. And if you have trust in God, you will understand that maybe your time to have that level of success, or to be married, or to have kids, is not now. But even though you might not have it, and it might take years, years to achieve that level of success, or to start having kids or get married or whatever it is that you're facing, are you still going to hold up and still have trust in God? That's the ultimate test. The fourth one is the belief that God is compassionate. And the fifth, an understanding that we must serve God. So, of course, we all have different ways how to serve God. We're going to develop that later. But it's very important that we are serving God in some shape or form. For some people, it's prayers, doing prayers every morning. For some people, it's very redundant to do prayers every morning. They just don't connect with that. So then there are other ways. They can just talk to God. For, some, it may be maybe just to write a letter, whatever it is. But there has to be some sort of method of serving God. It can be also through actions. Maybe you do good. Maybe you serve and you help other people around you and volunteer, whatever it is. That's one way to serve God. You do not need to be, and I repeat, you do not need to be, extremely religious in order for you to have this trust in God. A lot of people think that, if they're not doing everything that the Bible suggests for them to do, that they're just a failure in God's eyes. And so there's no point. No. Because this trust in God, I believe, is separate from the actions that are expected from us when it comes to the Bible, the positive commandments and the negative commandments. It's a whole separate, way of being. So, like I said, once we start to have this bitachon, this trust in God, we're going to experience a lot less anxiety. And when you're experiencing a lot less anxiety, you start having a lot more blessings. I'm going to end this class right here. I hope you enjoyed it. I have a lot more to talk about. Sorry for the little hookup earlier with the going live, but it's my pleasure to share this knowledge with you. And I hope that with whatever you learned today, that you can already take the first steps. And the first steps is really to have faith. Emunah. Once you have faith, you're going to be able to achieve things that are just unbelievable, and you're going to be, your life will change. But your life will ultimately change once you have trust. So let's start with faith, and then we'll get to the trust. I am open to doing a Q&A right now. I'm going to open up the chat here. And if any of you want to type any questions, you can do so. If there are no questions, we will end, and I'll see you hopefully next week. I don't have exactly the time when I'm going to be. I haven't set a time. You'll let me know and give me your feedback if you prefer for these classes to be late night at this hour, or if you want them earlier in the day, whatever it is. I'm very excited to share this knowledge with you. There's so much more to learn. It's only the beginning. So if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and answer them now. Just a moment. Okay. All right. A little late at night. Okay. All right. No questions for the moment. So that resumes our class and lecture. So thank you very much for showing up. Really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, post them. Oh, there is one question. Can you do a class twice a week? I will certainly try that. It's not an easy thing, I mean, very busy, but certainly I will do my best, depending, time permitting. Certainly, I'd love to have your feedback as to when is an ideal time. So definitely let me know. And this will be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it. I'm going to be posting this video on several channels, so you'll be able to see it on YouTube. On YouTube, you could search Crypto Yid. It's a name that I came up with because I'm into crypto. It's one of my hobbies. And Yid, I'm a Yid and proud to be one. So you can go ahead and follow me on YouTube by searching Crypto Yid. You can subscribe. I'd love for you to subscribe. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I get a lot more exposure. So, and then if you go to Facebook, you can also follow me on Facebook under Eli Rouimi, Eli Rouimi. The name is on the video screen. And you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm not live on Instagram for the video, so we'll put that later. But I am also on Twitter. You could check it out on Crypto Yid as well. So that's CryptoYed. I'm going to type it right here. Crypto Yid. Here you go. That's how you spell it. And of course, in order to do all this, I like to do things all the way. If I'm going to start something, I'm going to try to become good at it, and then I start it. So it's been a while. I've been wanting to do this and share this knowledge, but the first thing was I had to, get a professional camera, get a, this microphone that hopefully you can hear me well with. And so the idea was to make the experience a lot more pleasant for those that are listening. So I'm happy that, of course, I had challenges in doing so. I mean, delays in shipping and, the microphone not working and everything that can possibly go wrong with getting these live classes going. And now it seems to be working. So I'm very excited. And I look forward to, writing this journey together and really, achieving that level of trust that each and every one of you truly deserve. Thank you so much for your time and really enjoy your evening.